Hello students, we are back for the study of the next topic in the industrial microbiology. As we have learnt about bioreactors and a few basics about it, today we will study about the media. So we all know that nutrients are required for microbes to grow. Okay, so in the fermentation industry, of course, for the isolation we can use synthetic media, but for the production it has to go for the crude media. So the topic is crude media formulation in the fermentation industry. So in the fermentation industry, we have to know how the media is formulated, having the carbon, nitrogen and various other sources. Okay, so that's called as media formulation. Today's topic will be on this. We will be learning how the standardizations are done in the industry regarding the crude media using the sucrose or soybean meal, etc. That combinations. Okay, so we will be studying about it in the form of slides. Okay, so students, as we are seeing here, this is about the media formulation. The very first part of the media formulation is like before we go in the production, isolation. So you're seeing a Petri plate with the colonies, right? So one has to go for a laboratory scale for isolation of the beneficial microbes. It's a very regular process in the R&D in the industry, where they keep isolating the organisms based on the requirement. Let us say, for example, it is a antibiotic producing industry. They'll screen for any of these groups of microbes which can give a zone of clearance, okay, like that, antagonism, such things. Okay, so here you can see that the flask is seen, 1 liter flask, 1,000 liter flask and 10,000 liter flask, like that. So once you know which organism to be selected, that can be going for the production in the crude media. So you can see that the larger quantities of media will go in the form of scaling up. So here you can see this is called scaling up. Okay, just keep this in mind. I may discuss about this in further another class also. What is scaling up? The production of the inoculum, the development of inoculum in from smaller quantities to larger quantities is called as a scaling up. Okay, so it has its own criteria and importance, because the metabolites have to be uniformly distributed. There can be secondary metabolites, unwanted metabolites, okay, that should not accumulate in one place. So those are things are there. So one has to standardize them in the laboratory using the specific medium. So what is synthetic medium? All the required ingredients you can give and isolate, but when it comes to the lab scale production or inoculum development itself, it has to go for the crude media. Okay, so this is happening because of the proper study called stoichiometric analysis. So here what you're seeing here is one has to decide the carbon source, the nitrogen source, oxygen means aeration, another requirements like trace elements, which is the ones which are provided, and the resultant will be the biomass of the microbe, fungal biomass or a bacterial biomass. Then the metabolites it produces, the other byproducts like carbon dioxide, water and heat. Okay, these all are the things. So kept in mind, when one has to formulate a medium, one has to decide, shall I give sucrose here for the carbon source, shall I give soybean meal here, or any ammonium salts, or like that. Okay, so this particular equation is being followed for the stoichiometric study. Okay, so it's very important in the industry. One has to formulate the medium. Okay, so coming to the next picture here, this is telling about the economically crude natural sources. So as I was telling you, carbon sources are like cane molasses, beet molasses, cereal grains, starchy agricultural products, lactose in the dairy industry. These all can be acting as a carbon source which has sugars. So can you tell which are the sucrose containing ones? Cane molasses, beet molasses. Okay, cereal grains will have starch, and other maize and other products are starchy agricultural products, and then the lactose whey will have the lactose. The nitrogen sources can be ammonium salts, urea, corn syrup liquor, soybean meal. This is an example for you to understand. In the further slides you will see the same in a little descriptive pattern. So what is the picture here I want to show you is about what are the basic characteristics. So this is a fermenter. Okay, so these are basic characteristics when a media formulation is done. What are the basic characteristics which one should follow? Okay, one should understand. Okay, so here you are seeing that it should give maximum yield of the product. So whenever you are designing a media of a combination, it should give maximum yield of your product or the biomass, right? You should provide maximum of the desired product and minimum of the undesired product. These all are analysis done in the lab scale. Okay, it should be available throughout the year. What should be available throughout the year? The raw material. Let's say you want starchy substance like potato, should be available throughout the year for making a starch solution, starch media. Okay, minimum problems should come, not major problems. A minimum number of problems can come while media making and during sterilization. It should have minimum product problems during production also. Okay, and it should not be exposed. You should not have problems regarding the aeration, agitation, purification, and waste treatments. Okay, so these all are some of the things majorly where a media formulation needs importance, like aeration, agitation, these all, and purification of the product. So your media component should not hinder the purification process, a recovery process. Let us say you are producing alcohol from the sucrose. Some intermediates of the fermentation process should not affect the alcohol production and the alcohol purification process. And the raw material after usage and all, no, you're going to go for waste treatments. Even in the waste treatments, it should be kept in mind that the media components should not be affecting the whole process. Okay, so that means one should keep it in mind that lot of things are there when we are going to do a media formulation. This part can be written while you're answering the factors responsible for the formulating a medium. Okay, these all are general instructions one should follow for understanding about the process of the formulation. Okay, and now in this you are seeing what are the variations in the of media. So whenever you are designing a media, there can be a lot of pH variations. One has to standardize, one has to look into. There can be viscosity of the medium changing. There can be a high viscosity developing. Example, you're producing xanthan gum. You have made a raw material media formulation for xanthan gum production from xanthomonas. Viscosity level may go high. How to bring a solution for this? How to formulate the medium with a minimum viscosity, etc. Such things. Foam formation. Sometimes foam might be very high in the protein containing medium. So how to control them? How much ratio we should add? All that will be designed. Viable of inoculum cells. See, inoculum cells have to be viable. They should not die when you're bringing up production. Okay, then what is the use of making the production? It relates to good product recovery. Does not affect the desirable product. Okay, then effluent treatment. As I told you, these are the compound points one has to remember while making a media formulation. Okay, what is this nice picture here about? It is telling about the sugar refinery, which is you have the sugar cane, because very important source. Okay, it is having a lot of sucrose. It is crushed and it's going for the crystallization. So here is seeing a crystallizer, sugar crystallizer. Okay, so sugar is getting sugar. So the sugarcane juice gets crystallized, and you get the crystals of the sugar, and the remaining is the mother liquor. So mother liquor is one of the major things which are raw material used. I think you can guess for the alcohol production, where you are depending on this particular source. Okay, the molasses, I mean to say. Okay, we have the mother liquor, and also we have the blackstrap molasses also. Okay, so coming to the like this, we can understand that in a sugar refining industry will give a waste product that becomes a raw material for the alcohol production. Okay, similarly we have to look into this aspect of where lactose can also be one of the sources of carbohydrate. Like in the cheese industry, cheese manufacturing industry, you know that cheese production happens in the cheese vat where the milk is getting curdled by lactobacillus and rennet enzyme. After that, the milk solids are formed, means by cheese pressers, and then finally the whey, whatever is released, will have lactose. Okay, so wherever there's a cheese manufacture, a lot of lactose containing end product will be there from the cheese industry. That can be used for the production of the other lactic acids and all, like different components. We all know that lactic acid is a good preservative, food preservative, right? Okay, so that's how we can understand one or two examples like this, which tells you that an industry can give a byproduct, and that byproduct can be useful for the other production. So what is this picture telling about? This picture tells about the This picture tells about the similar concept where I've talked about the molasses already. So here you're seeing a similar picture what I've already explained to you. From the field you have the sugar canes brought, and then it goes for the crusher and gets crystallized, and there's a mother liquor. After a lot of repeated crystallization, you get the blackstrap molasses. So I think it's visible, blackstrap molasses. Okay, first mother liquor is formed, and as I told in the previous slide, upon repeated crystallization and refining, you get the other 52% of the sucrose, which is the blackstrap molasses. Okay, so these all are one of the raw materials in the alcohol production, alcohol industry. So what is the next one here? Invert molasses. Invert molasses mean the sugarcane juice, no, the sugarcane juice is going for an acid treatment. Okay, that time you have a lot of monosaccharides formed from the sucrose. They are very easily fermentable. Then comes the beet molasses, the sugar beets. Okay, sugar beets are used for crystallization of sugar. Mainly in industries they use this type of sugar. Okay, not for common usage. Okay, the remaining liquid, the syrup, is called the beet molasses. Okay, it's having a lot of biotin, and it's very used. It's lacking biotin, so there's a need of biotin being added in the fermentation medium. So coming to the other one is the hydrol. What is hydrol? Hydrol means, you can see the plant here, corn plant, let us say. So the corn plant, these are the corns. Okay, they prepare a corn starch which having 60% of sugar usually. They will use this for crystallization and get the dextrose from there. Okay, the removal of this dextrose after crystallization is again called as the molasses. Okay, this is called as hydrol. This is called as hydrol. Okay, it's the molasses from the corn. Okay, it's having high salt concentration, and they're using it for media formulations according to the requirement. So what is this here? The picture is about molasses of of course I already told you what is a molasses containing is just information here, having aconitic acid, malic acid, citric acid, lactic acid, formic acid, acetic acid, propionic acid. There's a lot of nitrogen containing compounds like amino acids, then vitamins like niacin, pantothenic acid, then riboflavin, biotin, salts like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus and all, and phytin. Okay, this is known as phytin, the salts. There can be a question on phytin. So phytin is nothing but the inorganic elements like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. In India, blackstrap molasses is very much used in the large scale production of ethyl alcohol and liquors like rum, gin, brandy, whiskey and all. What is starchy materials? You can see potatoes, then the sweet potatoes, then the rice, wheat. Okay, so what I've shown the different types of plants here. This is wheat. Okay, this is rice, this is rye, and this is oats. Okay, different types of plants. These all are starchy. I'll talk about the starchy grains once again. Okay, these all can be used as a raw material for the production. My question to you is, can we use potatoes in the production of ethyl alcohol? Yeah, yes, we can. We can call it as starch hydrolysates. I'm not talking about sucrose here. I'm talking about another topic called starch hydrolysates. Okay, we can use maize, potato, cereals, cassava. These all are some of the components where we can extract the starch. But starch can be used for amylase production. I'm not telling about the slide here immediately. I'm just talking about the general productions. When you want to produce amylase from a bacteria or a fungi, we can use starch, and that's an inducer for amylase production. But here, if you see the slide, I'm talking about something where you have to convert the starch into sugars. Okay, we can take potato as an example. Take the boiled extract of the potato. Whatever you're seeing in green, it tells about that. Okay, let's say this is talking about the boiled potato extract, addition of amylase enzyme to this. Okay, when you have two different processes, and also you can bring a process of acid addition in the beginning only when you're boiling. These three components can make a maximum sugar formation. Okay, breakdown of starch into glucose. It's a very common process where we make the beer production, where we make the beer malt, the wort, I mean to say, beer wort. It has all these basic components, basic procedures. I think I can relate this to the immediate barley grains. Okay, so what is the meaning here? We take the barley grains, soak them in water for a week or so, and it starts germinating. And then it is dried in a kiln and later on, after drying the grains in the kiln, it is powdered, and that is called as malt. The powder of the barley grains is called as barley malt. Okay, and this is only a diagrammatic representation of the soaking germinated grains and then going to the kiln for drying. Then it gets pulverized or powdered to get the malt. Okay, so this malt can be used as a raw material for the production of alcohol. I'm talking about beer malt, means beer is produced from the barley grains only. Okay, so that's how you understand this in this case. Okay, there's if you want to produce alcohol, ethyl alcohol, we go for molasses. If you want to produce beer, we go for the barley grains. If we want wine, we use a fruit juice, right? Okay, so these are the raw materials basically we are using. This is a methodology how we are using. I'll come back to the next one here. Can we use cellulose materials for the production? Yes. So imagine you're taking a wood. Okay, you're taking the wood pieces, blocks which are cut into pieces, and the logs of which are cut into pieces are taken into a digester and then used by going for hydrolysis. There's a heat and the pressure and chemical like calcium bisulfite added, so this becomes soft, becomes a pulp. This again goes for the formation of the paper sheets. I'm not talking about that here. Talking about sulfite waste liquor in the first part of the paper industry where you get the paper pulp formation. Okay, that remaining waste is called sulfite waste liquor. Okay, this ultimately goes for calcium hydroxide to remove the toxic sulfur dioxide and sulfurous acid. So sulfite waste liquors are used in the industry for production. For example, I can give an example here. You can use the, usually for human consumptions they don't use it. For the animals, they produce some fermented product for the animal in food microbiology you will study. Okay, they will use this sulfite waste liquors for growing the single cell protein organisms in them, and then like bacteria in them, and they will use it as the single cell proteins. Okay, endomyces is one of the bacteria used for the single cell protein production. Okay, so wood molasses is another concept where you take the log of wood and goes for scrapings. Wood scrapings are taken and that is cooked at 150 to 185 degrees centigrade with presence of sulfuric acid at 0.5% and gives a 65 to 85% of the sugars. So it's all different methodologies where you can produce the, means you can use a cellulose waste also as one of the raw materials in the production. Okay, so till now what have we seen? Saccharine substances being used, then we have used the cellulose materials as a source of carbohydrates, like that, isn't it? Because all of you should remember that there's always a CN ratio, right? What is CN ratio? Carbon nitrogen ratio. Okay, carbon should be always 30 and nitrogen ratio is 1, so 30 is to 1. That ratio should be followed while bringing a media formulation. Okay, so I've got some things additionally here. So other than the carbohydrates, we mean the nitrogenous substances also is required. So one of them is corn chip liquor. You take the corn and then you go for boiling of the corn and produce various products like gluten products and corn products and all. That remaining water is called corn chip liquor. Okay, it's used mainly for penicillin productions and all. And of course soybean meal. Okay, we take the soya beans and we extract certain components from them, and remaining is called as a soybean meal as a byproduct. Parva media is nothing but cotton.